Welcome to the Dr. Mudgil podcast. This is episode 115. Wow, we are in February. Can't believe it. January just flew by. January's a long month. You know, it's like a 5-weeker. I think it's a 5-weeker. But anyways, it flew by. And I can't believe we're already into the second month of the year. Hopefully you're well on your way to crushing whatever your goals may be. Great weekend last weekend of football. Super Bowl is approaching us. So, we got a week till that. That's going to be a great game. I'm excited to see that. And the Knicks, man, I got to say the Knicks are looking good. They had the best record, the hottest team in all of the NBA. And as a lifelong Knicks fan, that makes me very, very happy. So anyways, back to the task at hand. So this podcast is going to be, I guess, kind of like a hashtag Ask Dr. Mudgil style podcast, but more of sort of just a general commentary. As you know, I post to various social media platforms, and a video that I posted to YouTube, I think it was actually like a pretty long while ago. It was an Ask Dr. Mudgil about a skin condition called Shamberg Disease, which is a totally benign condition where you get some inflammation of capillaries in the very superficial layer of the skin, and it causes this like brownish, reddish rash, which is generally asymptomatic, but sometimes can be a little bit itchy. So anyways, the person who asked this question was asking about the prognosis of their Shamberg disease and if it was going to take over their whole body. And I answered the question, and basically I reassured them that no, it's probably not going to take over your whole body, but that no one really knows what the course of Shamberg disease is, and there's a lot of unknowns about it. So someone responded to that, and I kind of chuckled at the response, but it's an anonymous user. It's like a user dash and a whole bunch of numbers and letters. But the comment was, being a doctor, you're not sure about the disease, and then some kind of like angry emoji. What is the use of studying for long and long hours? Folks needs solutions, not explanation. Even Google, another like exasperated emoji, can explain things, why it happened. We, the people, need the solution of a problem. So he's basically like pissed that I don't know the answer to the question, that there's like sort of an unknown here. To which I responded, the most important skill one can have is knowing what they don't know. And, it really kind of had me thinking a lot about this, and, had me thinking about my own practice, the care of my own patients, and, just how like one operates in life. And, something I always say, particularly to like students or, we have a lot of students that rotate through the practice. And these are college students, medical students, PA students, nursing students, young doctors, etc. And even like, for the PAs that work alongside me in my offices, the one thing I always tell them is the most important skill you can have as a provider when you're taking care of people, or really just in life in general, is knowing what you don't know and admitting it. And then, then you do the work to try to find out the answer. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, hey, I'm not sure. Let me look into this. I'll get back to you. I always, my PAs know that I'm always available. If they see a patient, they're not 100% sure what's going on. They can FaceTime me, and I can, consult with the patient then and there. They can take some pictures and send it to me. I'm always available to answer any questions. But that's a skill you can't teach. You can't teach someone the skill of, being able to admit. You need a degree of self-awareness to be able to admit that, you have to be able to know, I should say, what you don't know, which is, again, so very important. And, I'll give you a couple of examples of this. For instance, yesterday, I saw a patient who had a very, very rare condition. He had a condition called erythropoietic porphyria, which is there's 1 in 100,000 people have this condition. And he had moved here from, I think it was from Nebraska or something. And his doctor referred him to me. And, this is a condition that I saw one when I was a resident. You very rarely see these things. And he mentioned to me a bunch of things that he tried in the past that other doctors have given him, which were, marginally successful, maybe helped a little bit. And I said to him, I was like, hey, listen, man, you have a very, very rare skin condition. I assure you that we are going to be the last stop on the train. I'll do everything I can to help you. But to be honest, I need to review the literature. I need to see if there's any late, developments of late that, say, hey, this case report showed my patient has this condition, and then we tried this and it worked. And I said, I'll get back to you tomorrow. Let me review the literature. And I did. I reviewed the literature, turns out like some of the things that he'd been using in the past have been shown not to be effective at all. They did some larger retrospective studies. And the suggestion that I made to him while he was in the room is a treatment called Narrowband UVB phototherapy. I said, let me do a little bit more research into that and see if that could help you. And it turns out that that is, a potentially good solution for him. So, we got back to him today and let him know that, after, doing my due diligence, I didn't know the answer at the time, but I did my homework, found out the answer, got back to him and said, hey, this is the road we can try. It's covered by our insurance. Let's give it a shot. So he's going to be all plugged in for that. So listen, I was very comfortable admitting, hey, I don't know. I knew what I didn't know, and I wasn't going to blow smoke up his ass. I was going to do the work that I needed to do to get the answer that he needed to be able to help him. Now, this principle, it doesn't only apply to the care of patients or the practice of medicine. I'll give you another example, a real-life work example. I had an employee who was a lovely person, a very reliable, would come to work, would, put in a good effort, but the problem was she was actually terrible at the tasks at hand, which was getting insurance information from patients, making sure the schedule looked okay, collecting payments, posting payments, some data entry stuff, and she'd been with me for a couple of years. During the pandemic, it was very, very hard to find. I mean, it's always hard to find like good, reliable folks who are competent, and just showing up actually counted for a lot during the pandemic, and that was something that she was very, very she always showed up, which is something I really did appreciate, and she's a wonderful person. But the problem was the job that needed to be done was not done well, and was done very inefficiently. And despite like numerous attempts to retrain and say, hey, this is how we do things, my other staff would get involved and try to help out and say, this is the checklist and this is how you should do this stuff. Still, things just weren't getting grasped in a manner that, was acceptable, to be honest with you. But that being said, because I liked this person and because she was, so reliable, I set up a bunch of like safety nets behind her back, so every task that she would do, I'd have someone else kind of like duplicating it or double checking it. Unbeknownst to her, I tried to get her to do the job as it should be done. It just wasn't working out that way. So we set up an infrastructure where, we were protecting us, we were protecting herself, we were protecting her from herself and protecting us from all the mistakes that were happening. And, I really am very largely responsible for this. As someone I probably should have let go a very, very long time ago because the job wasn't getting done. But then, there was a big billing problem that happened and, she ended up resigning. And it's amazingly from that very day that she resigned, I had the staff that had been like kind of her safety net, just kind of, basically just doing the job that needed to be done. And it was like night and day. It was like just a switch turned on and everything was functioning, incredibly smoothly and efficiently. And this is kind of an example of, someone who wasn't willing to admit what you didn't know. And the problem with that is you kind of get into your own way and you stifle your own growth and your own success. And, this is sort of an example of, a non-patient care situation where not being able to admit what you don't know and kind of working on those things so you can improve your performance, where it kind of just stifles your growth and your success. And this, this really spills over into every aspect of life. A lot of folks, when they want to get healthy, will say, "Oh, I'm going to eat healthy," but they don't really know how to eat healthy. They don't know how to implement the correct like macronutrient breakdown and whatever their caloric requirements are. And sometimes you need to engage the help of a professional or do the research on your own and read articles or whatever, just to try to align what you're doing with whatever your goals may be. But the first step in that is being able to admit what you don't know. Fitness, same thing. A lot of folks be like, "Oh, I'm going to exercise, get in shape," and they spend all their time walking on the treadmill and just doing cardio all the time, but their bodies are looking worse and worse from year to year. When really what they should be doing is some resistance training, progressive loading of their muscles and all that sort of stuff. But again, it's just kind of doing things in vain or doing the same things over and over again and not seeing the results that you expect is a classic example of not being able to admit what you don't know and seeking the help that you need so that you can learn the skills you need to advance whatever it is your goals may be. So those are, I guess this ended up being kind of more of like a thoughts of the week podcast, but I just can't overemphasize how important it is to, have the self-awareness, to be able to admit what you don't know. And then once you do that, you're able to work on the things that you don't know and improve the person that you are. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful, restful weekend and are just ready to crush the week ahead, the first week of February. Let's just absolutely dominate it. Let's get it.